She rang my doorbell on a Tuesday morning like it was nothing. 9 years of silence, and she showed up in a beige cardigan with a roller suitcase and a folded piece of paper in her right hand. No phone call to warn me, no text, just the doorbell. I was 33. I had twin 7-year-olds, a CFO title, and a husband who built a company worth $44 million from a garage with a $12 whiteboard. I had a life so full it sometimes surprised me. And I had a navy blue binder in the bottom drawer of my desk. She didn't come to apologize. She didn't ask about her grandchildren, the ones she'd never met. She stood on my porch, unfolded that paper, and said 5 words. "We need to talk, business." The paper had bullet points, 5 of them, each one had a dollar sign. Total, $925,000. Here's what she didn't know. I had been keeping a list of my own for 9 years. Every birthday card she returned unopened. Every voicemail she never answered. Every screenshot of what my sister said about me when she thought I wasn't watching. 29 items, labeled, dated, filed. She brought a list of what she wanted. I brought a list of what she did. And before I tell you how that kitchen table conversation ended, if you're new here, take a second to subscribe. Drop a comment. Tell me where you're watching from and what time it is. I genuinely love reading those. Now let me take you back. Back to the summer I turned 24. The summer my family decided I was no longer one of them. Population, just over 2,000. One Baptist church, one barbershop, one diner where every booth permanently smelled like bacon grease, no matter what hour you walked in. That was my whole world until I was 18. My father, Kenneth, worked the same shift at the lumberyard on Route 7 for 31 years. Same boots. Same quiet nod through the door at 5:42 every evening. Precise as a clock. Reliable as one too, except when it mattered most. My mother, Diane, ran the household and the church women's committee with the same iron discipline. She decided who brought what dish to every potluck. She organized the Easter brunch. She coordinated the prayer chain. Nobody argued. Nobody dared. My sister Paige was 4 years younger and everything I wasn't. Loud, magnetic, the kind of girl who won homecoming queen and performed shock so convincingly you almost believed it. Mom called her sunshine. Dad lit up when she walked in the room. I was the quiet one. The one who did dishes before being asked, scored perfect on every math test, and never got a party for either. I don't say that with bitterness. I say it so you understand the math. In our family, love was a budget. Paige was always the first line item funded. I was the miscellaneous expense they rounded down. At 18, I earned a full scholarship to Ohio State. First archer to go to college. Mom packed my suitcase and slipped a card inside, flowers on the front, her handwriting on the back. "Come home soon, you belong here." I kept that card for 15 years. It's still in my desk drawer, right next to the binder. That card was the last kind thing she ever wrote me. I met Marcus Ellison in advanced statistics, junior year. He sat 2 rows ahead of me and solved regression problems like he was reading a grocery list. Calm, unhurried, never needed to show his work because the work was already obvious to him. Engineering major, computer science minor, partial scholarship out of Cleveland. His mother, Cora, was a retired school librarian who raised him alone, worked 2 jobs until he was 16, then 1 job and 3 volunteer shifts. Marcus was biracial. He had his mother's eyes, his absent father's jawline, and this way of actually listening, the kind that makes you feel like every word you say has weight. Our first date was a taco truck near campus. He paid with crumpled singles. I paid with quarters. We split a horchata and talked until they folded up the tent. He told me he wanted to build something. Didn't know exactly what yet, just something that solved a real problem. I told him I wanted a job where the numbers meant something beyond the spreadsheet. He said, then we're in the right field. 3 years, quiet, steady, unremarkable in the best way. He met my parents twice. The first time, Mom smiled too wide and called him Michael. The second visit, she got the name right but never once looked at him when she said it. Dad shook his hand, said almost nothing, and called it politeness. Paige was the honest one. At Thanksgiving, she leaned over to me and whispered, "He's nice, but Mom is never going to be okay with this. You know that, right?" I didn't, not yet. Marcus proposed on a Tuesday. No ring, no restaurant, no performance, just our kitchen table and his voice saying, "I want to spend my life with you. I want to build something with you. Will you let me?" I said yes before he finished. I called home that night. Mom picked up on the third ring. I said, "We're engaged." 7 seconds of silence. I counted. Then, "You need to think about what this means for this family, Iris." Not congratulations, not tell me about the ring, a warning. Dad got on the extension, cleared his throat twice, said nothing. 2 days later, Paige texted, "Mom has been crying since you called. Are you happy now?" I was, for the first time in years, I genuinely was, but I didn't say that. 2 weeks after that, a letter arrived. Not an email, a letter. Diane Archer's cursive on cream-colored stationery, 4 paragraphs, the last one read. "If you go through with this, you are choosing him over your family. We cannot support this. We will not attend. And if you walk down that aisle, do not expect to walk back through our door. He is not one of us, Iris. He never will be." She drew a line in blue ink on cream paper and expected me to stand on her side of it. I read it 3 times, folded it, slid it into a manila envelope. Something in me, the part that labels receipts and files bank statements by quarter, said hold on to this. I held on. We got married on a Saturday in June. Multnomah County Courthouse. 12 guests, all friends, all Marcus's side. Cora flew in from Cleveland with a garment bag and a Tupperware of pound cake. She pinned a silk flower on my dress, held both my hands, looked me in the eye and said, "Welcome to the family, baby." No father walked me down the aisle. There was no aisle. There was a fluorescent-lit hallway and a judge who mispronounced both our names. My dress cost $160 from a consignment shop on Hawthorne. White. Simple. Fit perfectly. Marcus wore a navy suit from a clearance rack. We looked like 2 people who had just done the most important thing of their lives on a budget because we had. The reception was at a Thai restaurant where we pushed 4 tables together. Marcus's college roommate gave a toast that made everyone laugh so hard Cora spilled her water. That night, sitting on the edge of the bed, staring at the $6 grocery store roses I'd carried instead of a bouquet, my hands shook. Not from doubt, from grief. I had just gotten married, and the 2 people who raised me didn't care enough to watch. 1 week later, I mailed a card to Milfield. Inside, our courthouse photo, Marcus and me on the steps, grinning. On the back I wrote, "We are happy. I hope you can be happy for us someday." The card came back 11 days later. Red stamp across the front. Return to sender. I stared at that stamp for a long time. Then I opened the manila envelope, picked up a red pen and wrote, "Item 2, wedding photo, returned." That was the beginning of the binder. I called 4 times, voicemail every time. I left messages, short, careful, each word chosen like it might be the last one she'd ever listened to. "Hi Mom, just checking in. Marcus got a job downtown. I'm studying for my CPA. I miss you, call me back whenever." She never called back. 3 birthday cards, 3 Christmas cards, all returned with the same red stamp. Dad sent 1 text in February, 4 words, "Your mother needs time." No follow-up, no second text. Those 4 words sat in my phone like a voicemail I couldn't delete. That spring, Paige posted a family photo on Facebook. Mom, Dad, Paige, Paige's boyfriend. Captioned, "Sunday dinner with my people. No Iris, no Marcus, never an invitation." I printed the screenshot. Not to torture myself, I printed it because I had started doing something I couldn't fully explain. Filing things. Every returned card. Every unanswered call. Every document proving my family had decided I no longer existed. By March, the manila envelope was thick enough that I needed a binder. Navy blue, 3 rings, color-coded tabs. The voice played in my head at strange hours. In the grocery store, at the dentist, at 2 a.m. when the apartment was dark and Marcus was asleep. "He is not one of us." The words didn't stop hurting, But they got quieter, the binder got thicker. Year 2, Marcus quit his job. Not recklessly. He had been building a prototype for 6 months on nights and weekends, a compliance software platform for small businesses. The kind of tool that made SEC filings and financial audits manageable for companies that couldn't afford a legal team. He knew compliance, I knew finance. Between us, we understood the exact problem nobody wanted to solve. He set up a desk in our garage. 2 monitors, a space heater, a whiteboard from Goodwill, $12. Every evening, I came home from my analyst job, heated up leftover soup, and sat next to him reviewing financial models until midnight. I built the pricing structure. I wrote the compliance checklists. I tested every module against real SEC guidelines. Marcus built the engine. I built the dashboard. Neither of us slept enough. Compliance Core launched 7 months later. 4 customers. A free trial that crashed twice on the first day. That same year, I upgraded the manila envelope to a proper binder. Navy blue, 3-ring dividers for each year, red pen labels. And every item, year 1, 7 items. I wasn't building a case, I wasn't planning anything. I was doing what I had always done, keeping records, because financial analysts don't throw away documentation. Ever. They arrived on a Wednesday morning in November. 6 pounds each, identical dark curls. Sophie screamed for 4 hours. Liam slept through all of it. Marcus cried, first time I had ever seen him cry. He held one in each arm by the hospital window and said, "They're going to know they're loved every single day." Cora flew in the next morning. Stayed 2 weeks. Cooked, cleaned, rocked Liam at 3 a.m. while I fed Sophie. She brought a yellow and white crocheted blanket, soft enough to make you cry, and a silver bracelet for each baby engraved with their birthdays. That was what a grandmother looked like. I had mailed Diane the ultrasound photos 5 months earlier. Returned. I sent birth announcements, 2 cards, 1 for each twin. Returned. Photos of Liam sleeping on Marcus's chest, Sophie gripping my finger. Returned. 3 new items in the binder. 13, 14, 15. Then a mutual friend forwarded me a screenshot of a text from Paige. The message read, "Her children don't have real grandparents. That is what she chose." I sat in the nursery for 11 minutes with that text on my screen. Sophie was asleep in the crib. Liam was in my arms. I could hear Cora humming in the kitchen while she washed bottles. My children had a grandmother. Her name was Cora Ellison. She flew in from Cleveland every 6 weeks and never once missed a birthday. I printed the text, filed it. Item 16, red pen, dated. 19 items. I want to be clear, I didn't keep that binder out of spite. I didn't flip through it at night fueling some revenge fantasy. Most weeks I forgot it existed. It sat in the bottom drawer under tax folders, collecting dust. But every time something arrived, a returned card, a forwarded screenshot, a voicemail I saved because deleting it felt like erasing proof, I filed it. Print, label, date, red pen, tab. Marcus asked me once, "Why do you keep all of that?" I told him the truth, because someday the kids might ask why they don't have grandparents on my side, and I want them to have facts. Not my version, not her version, the receipts. He nodded. Engineers understand build logs. By then, Compliance Core had 11 employees and a real office in Portland's Pearl District. I worked 40 hours at my firm, 20 more on Compliance Core's books. We hired a part-time nanny. We ate dinner together at 6:30 every night. Non-negotiable. The silence from Ohio had become a fact of life. Like weather, some days I noticed it, most days I didn't. Cora visited every 6 weeks. The twins called her Grammy. She taught Liam how to make grilled cheese. She taught Sophie the names of every backyard bird. I didn't know it yet, but that binder would become the most important document in my life. More important than my degree, more important than our marriage certificate, more important than the IPO filing I'd sign 5 years later. Year 5, 15 employees, a real office with a sign on the door. Marcus still coded every morning. He refused to become the kind of CEO who stopped building the product. Most days he was at his desk by 6:30 with headphones on, deep in architecture problems I didn't pretend to understand. I handled everything else. Cash flow, contracts, projections. The company was his vision. The numbers were mine. We bought a craftsman bungalow in the Selwood neighborhood. 3 bedrooms, original hardwood, a backyard plum tree the twins immediately claimed as their fort. I remember signing the mortgage papers thinking, this is ours. Nobody gave us this. We built it. On a Tuesday night in October, I made the mistake of checking Facebook. Diane had posted a family photo, new dining table, Paige and her husband, a baby in a high chair, Paige's son, my nephew, I had never met him. Caption, my whole world. 3 people in the frame, a table. A family that didn't include me, my children, or the man I married. I closed the app, went to bed, didn't cry. I had stopped crying about Diane Archer somewhere around year 3. Some wounds don't heal, they go numb. And numb has its own kind of power. Year 6. I found out about it on Instagram 4 days after it happened. A friend from high school posted a group shot captioned, Best Wedding of the Year. White church, cathedral veil, 5-tier cake, sparkler send-off, 200 guests, mom in lavender, dad in a new suit I'd never seen. They didn't invite me, they didn't tell me. I zoomed in on my parents' faces. They looked happy. Genuinely, completely happy. Without me. Something about that took a long time to sit with, not the exclusion itself, but the ease of it. How clean my absence was from their picture. I did something I probably shouldn't have. I ordered ivory linen napkins, monogrammed with Paige's new initials from a shop in Portland. Row. Tia card, congratulations on your wedding, every happiness to you both. Love, Iris. The package came back 3 weeks later, tape untouched, unopened. Item 17. I put the binder back in the drawer, sat at my desk, and listened to Sophie singing in the bath and Liam arguing with Marcus about whether dinosaurs could swim. That was my family right there, in the next room. They were enough. Year 7 changed everything. Compliance Corps raised a Series B $12 million from a San Francisco VC firm. Post-money valuation, $68 million. Marcus and I still held 22%. We weren't rich, not yet, but the numbers were heading somewhere I had only ever modeled in spreadsheets. I left my analyst job and joined Compliance Corps full-time as CFO. My name was on the company paperwork next to his. Equal. We moved to a 4-bedroom colonial in Lake Oswego. Good schools, quiet neighborhood, a kitchen island where the twins did homework while I reviewed quarterly reports at the other end. The Series B made a small splash. TechCrunch ran 4 paragraphs. 2 fintech newsletters picked it up. The kind of coverage that lands in the right inboxes and gets scrolled past by everyone else. But someone in Milfield, Ohio didn't scroll past. 2 weeks after the article, a friend texted me, Hey, your mom asked someone at church about your husband's company. She wanted to know what Series B meant. I read that 3 times. 9 years of silence. She didn't know what Series B meant, but she wanted to. The math was changing, and Diane Archer was paying attention. That same year, I mailed what I knew would be my last birthday card. 7 straight years, all returned. But this one, I tucked something extra inside. A photo of Liam and Sophie at their school's fall festival. Matching flannels, face paint. Liam missing his 2 front teeth. Sophie grinning so wide her eyes were nearly shut. On the back of the photo I wrote, They ask about you sometimes. I tell them you live far away. 11 days, it came back in 9. But something was different. The envelope had been opened. The flap was creased, resealed with a thin strip of clear tape. I held it up to the light. The card was inside. The photo was inside. But someone had carefully taken them out, looked at them, really looked, and then sealed it back up and sent it back. I sat at the kitchen table, turning that envelope over for a long time. Dad had opened it, he wanted to keep it, and she had made him send it back. Item 23, birthday card, year 7, opened and resealed, photo viewed, still returned. I wrote the label with steadier hands than I expected. Because I had suspected it for years, Dad was the enforcer. Mom was the architect, and the blueprint was simple: if she couldn't control who I loved, she would erase me entirely. Year 8, 80 employees. Offices in Portland and Austin. A partnership with two of the largest accounting firms in the Pacific Northwest. Marcus was on the cover of a regional business magazine, The Quiet Disruptor. Then Forbes ran its annual companies to watch list. Compliance Core, number 47 out of 50, 2 sentences, it was Forbes. That same month, my friend Tess, the one who kept me connected to Milfield gossip, called on a Friday evening. She sounded rattled. Iris, Paige accidentally added me to a family group chat. I think she meant to add someone with a similar number. I was in it for 3 days before they removed me. I took screenshots. She sent 7. I read them in the parking lot of Liam's soccer practice. Through the windshield, I watched him chase a ball twice the size of his head. Paige, his company was valued at 68M last round. I've been tracking the funding filings. If they IPO, we're looking at 300M minimum. Diane, how do we approach this? She won't listen to me. Kenneth, maybe I should call first. Feel her out. Diane, no, I need to go in person, with a plan, a real plan. Paige, make a list. Be specific about what we need. She's a numbers person. She'll respond to numbers. Diane, how much should we ask for? Paige, start with the mortgage, then medical, then retirement. Layer it. Make it look like a family investment, not a request. Kenneth, this doesn't feel right. Diane, Kenneth, she has more money than this entire town. She can afford to help her family. Kenneth didn't reply after that. The dashboard clock read 7:22. My hands were shaking, not from sadness, from clarity. 9 years of silence. 9 years of returned photographs and ignored grandchildren. And now that the numbers had changed, they wanted to approach with a plan. I drove home, printed the screenshots, opened the binder. Item 26. Family group chat, financial tracking, reconnaissance confirmed. If this story is hitting close to home, if someone in your life cut you off and came running back the moment the money changed, drop it in the comments. Because I think more of us carry this than we admit. And while you're here, subscribe if you haven't yet. That night, after the kids were asleep, I showed Marcus the screenshots. He read through them once, slowly, the way he reads code, line by line, hunting for bugs. When he finished, he set the phone on the counter and stared at the wall. What do you want to do? Nothing yet, but I want to be ready. He nodded, stood next to me while I figured it out. That was always Marcus. He didn't tell me what to feel, he just stood there. The next morning, I called a family attorney not to sue, just to understand our position. Her name was Grace. Mid-50s, no nonsense. She walked me through it in 20 minutes flat. Diane had no legal standing. Our trusts protected the children's assets. No grandparent visitation rights in Oregon without an established relationship. 9 years of documented estrangement made any claim laughable. I thanked Grace, hung up and went back to work. But I also did something else that week. I drafted a letter, didn't send it, just wrote it out at the kitchen table after midnight. Every item in the binder laid out in order. 26 entries, dated, documented, ready. Year 9, investment bankers flew to Portland. 3 rounds of meetings in our conference room, still had the Goodwill whiteboard, though nobody needed to know that. They used words like road show and lockup period and pricing range. Marcus handled the product pitch. I handled the numbers. Every slide, every projection, every risk disclosure. My name on all of it. CFO, co-founder, the person who signed every SEC filing before it left the building. 7 months of due diligence. Marcus barely slept. I barely ate. The twins noticed. Sophie drew a picture of me at my desk with a speech bubble that said, "One more email." In August, our attorney finalized the trust structure for Liam and Sophie. 2 irrevocable trusts. Funded, protected. Nobody, not Diane, not Kenneth, not Paige, not any future version of any archer who showed up with a list could touch $1. I signed the documents in a corner office overlooking the Willamette River. Before I left, I asked one question. If a family member tries to claim access to these funds, what happens? The attorney didn't blink. Nothing, that's the point. 2 months before the IPO, Paige texted me. First message in 9 years. It arrived at 2:17 on a Thursday afternoon. Hey, just thinking about you. How are the kids? 6 words. 9 years. How are the kids? As if she'd been asking regularly. As if this was a continuation of something instead of a resurrection. I didn't reply for a week. I wanted to see if she'd follow up. She did. I'll be in Portland for work next month. Would love to see you. I agreed to meet, not at our house, a cafe in the Pearl District, public, neutral, time limited. She showed up 15 minutes late in a blazer and ankle boots. She looked like someone who had rehearsed being casual. She hugged me too long. Said you look amazing 3 times in the first 10 minutes. Then the questions started. How big was our house? Did the kids go to private school? What neighborhood? Was Marcus still running the company or had he stepped back? How many employees? Had they raised more money recently? 32 questions, I counted. Not one of them was, I'm sorry. Halfway through our lattes, I noticed something in the cafe window reflection. Paige had her phone angled toward the parking lot. She was photographing my car, a white Tesla Marcus had bought me for my birthday. She was cataloging, building a report. I let her finish her latte. I answered every question vaguely, politely, the way you answer a bank teller's small talk. When we hugged goodbye, she held on too long again. I drove straight home and opened the binder. Item 28. Page reconnaissance visit. 32 questions documented. Photographed vehicle. No apology offered. No acknowledgement of estrangement. Then I called Grace. They're coming, I told her. My mother, probably within weeks of the IPO, she'll have demands. Grace was quiet for a moment. You have documentation. I have a binder. How thorough? 28 items, dated, sourced, 9 years. Another pause. Iris, you don't need me for the confrontation. The trusts are already done. What you're describing isn't legal, it's personal. And for that, you just need to decide what you're willing to say. She was right, this wasn't about lawyers. This was about a woman who showed up at my door because the numbers changed, and whether I was going to let her rewrite 9 years of silence into a story about a misunderstanding. Compliance Corp went public on a Wednesday in October. Marcus and I stood on the NASDAQ floor in New York, him in charcoal, me in a navy blazer. We watched the opening price tick up on the board. $18 a share. By noon, $20. By close, $22. Market cap, $440 million. Marcus and I held 10%. $44 million. On paper in one afternoon. I ran the numbers 3 times because I run everything 3 times. The form. Ula was right. Too many zeros, but they were the correct zeros. TechCrunch ran a feature. Forbes called for comment. Bloomberg put Marcus's face in a sidebar. A Portland TV station did a 3-minute segment. Local couples fintech startup hits NASDAQ. We celebrated with room service sushi in our Times Square hotel room. Marcus fell asleep on the couch at 9:15, still in his suit jacket. I stayed awake. Not because of the IPO, because of what I knew was coming next. I checked my phone. 5 missed calls, area code 740, Milfield, Ohio. I set the phone face down on the nightstand and stared at the ceiling. 9 years, $44 million. Suddenly Iris Archer was worth knowing again. Kenneth's voicemail arrived the next morning while I was brushing my teeth. His voice was thinner than I remembered. Older. But the cadence was the same, slow, measured, a man who treated words like lumber. Baby girl, I saw you on the news. You and Marcus on that stock exchange floor. I didn't know what to say, so I'm calling. I'm proud of you, I've always been. A long pause, breathing. Your mother wants to talk. She has things she wants to discuss. Please call when you can. I love you, Iris. I played it 3 times. Baby girl, he hadn't called me that since I was 14. I'm proud of you, 4 words. I had waited a decade for 4 words. Then I played it a 4th time, and listened to the structure of it. He called after the IPO, not after the wedding, not after the twins were born, not after 7 birthday cards or the ultrasound photos or the birth announcements. After the IPO. I heard Mom's voice underneath his. He is not one of us, Iris. Dad had enforced the silence. He could have called any year, any morning. He chose this one, the one with 44 million reasons to pick up the phone. I saved the voicemail. I didn't add it to the binder. It was too sad for the binder. Instead, I sat on the hotel bathroom floor and felt all of it, unfiltered, for about 4 minutes. Then I stood up, washed my face, and packed my suitcase. We had a flight to catch. 2 days after we got home from New York, she wrote. Long message, no typos, no autocorrect stumbles, no casual abbreviations. This was a draft. She had written it, edited it, probably read it aloud to herself in the mirror. Iris, I know we've lost time. I think about you and the children every day. Life is short, and I've learned that some things matter more than the differences that divide us. I'd like to talk about the future, about the children, about what it means to be family. There are things that families should share. I believe we can find a way forward if you're willing. 63 words, carefully chosen. Not one of them, sorry. Not one of them, I was wrong. Not one acknowledgement that she had disowned me for marrying a man whose skin was a different shade than hers. Not one mention of the returned photos, the ignored grandchildren, the 9 years of weaponized silence. The differences that divide us. As if our estrangement was a philosophical disagreement. As if it wasn't a woman who had written, in her own cursive, on cream stationery, he is not one of us. I didn't reply. I screenshotted the text, printed it, opened the binder. Item 29. First text from Diane in 9 years, 63 words, 0 apologies. I closed the binder, put it in the drawer, and looked at the framed photo on my desk. Marcus and me and the twins at Cannon Beach, all 4 of us squinting into the sun. Liam on Marcus's shoulders, Sophie holding my hand. There was my answer, right there in the frame. Tess called on a Friday. Paige is telling everyone you live in a mansion. She's saying Marcus struck gold, and that you drive a Tesla, and the kids go to private school. Half of that is wrong. Iris, that's not the point. Your mom is planning a trip. Paige told Linda at the salon that Diane is going to Portland next week. She's packing a suitcase. I closed my eyes. I know. Then what are you going to do? I'm going to open the door. Silence on the other end. You're going to let her in. I'm going to let her talk. And then I'm going to show her what I've been keeping in the bottom drawer of my desk for 9 years. I hung up and stood in the kitchen. The one with the island where Sophie did homework, where Liam built Lego cities, where Marcus made pancakes on Sunday mornings. Cora's photo was on the fridge, right next to the twins' field trip picture. Grammy Cora, the only grandmother they had ever known. Diane was coming. I had known it since the group chat. Since the Series B, since the LinkedIn views and the church gossip and Paige's 32 questions at that cafe. The numbers had changed, and Diane Archer was coming to collect. But I was not the girl who left Milfield at 18, with a scholarship, and a card that said come home soon. I was a CFO, a mother, a woman with a binder. And I was ready. She arrived on a Tuesday at 10:14 in the morning. I was at the kitchen window. Drying a mug when the taxi pulled up. She got out slowly, beige cardigan, black slacks, pearl studs she had worn to church every Sunday since I was a girl, a carry-on suitcase worn at the corners. She stood on the sidewalk for a full 30 seconds before walking up the path. She took in the house the way an appraiser would, evaluating. The doorbell rang. I opened the door. We stood 3 feet apart. She looked older, more gray, lines around her mouth that hadn't been there 9 years ago. Her eyes, the same shade of green as mine, were already damp. Iris. Mom. 4 seconds of silence. I came to talk about the children's future. Not I came because I missed you. Not I came because I was wrong. Not even I love you. I came to talk about the children's future. the children she had never met, the children whose birth announcements she had returned unopened. I looked at the suitcase, looked at the folded paper in her right hand. "Come in." I didn't take her to the living room, I took her to the kitchen. The kitchen had a table. It had good light. It had Cora's photo on the fridge and Sophie's world map with pins in every country she wanted to visit, and Liam's latest drawing of a pterodactyl taped to the cabinet door. Truth lived in this kitchen, and truth was what we were about to have. She sat, I poured 2 glasses of water, no coffee. Coffee was for people who were staying. She looked around, her eyes landed on the fridge, on Cora holding both twins in her lap at the beach, all 3 of them laughing. She stared at it for 5 seconds. Something crossed her face. Guilt, maybe jealousy, I couldn't tell. Then she unfolded the paper. Her handwriting, blue ink, 5 bullet points, hours of calculation behind them. She read them aloud, one by one. Retirement fund, $500,000. College for Paige's son, $200,000. Kenneth's knee surgery, $45,000. Family home mortgage, $180,000. Monthly support, $3,000. She folded the paper, placed it on the table between us, and looked at me. "This is what families do, Iris. Your father worked his whole life, he sacrificed. It's time to give back." $925,000. Itemized, calculated, presented like an invoice. Not once, during that entire reading, had she said my name with the word sorry attached to it. Not once had she acknowledged that she was sitting in a house she had never visited, asking for money from grandchildren she had never held. I picked up the list, read each line, folded it. Then I stood up and walked to my office. Bottom drawer, under the tax folders, behind the insurance documents. I pulled out the binder. Navy blue, 3-ring, heavy, the kind of weight that comes from 9 years of documentation. I carried it back to the kitchen and set it on the table, right next to her folded list of demands. 2 documents. Hers, 1 page, 5 bullets, $925,000. Mine, 29 items, 9 years, 0 apologies received. Diane stared at it. "What is that?" I sat down, placed my hands flat on the table. "You brought a list, Mom. I brought one too." She looked at the red pen labels visible through the clear front cover. At the thickness. Nearly 3 inches of tabs and documents, and printed screenshots and birthday cards, still in their original envelopes with red stamps across the front. "I don't understand." "You will." I opened to tab 1, year 1, and I started reading. No raised voice, no tears, no performance. I read the way I deliver quarterly reports to a board, factual, organized, methodical. 9 years of receipts, every returned card, every ignored voicemail, every screenshot, every piece of proof that Diane Archer had systematically erased her firstborn daughter, not because I did something wrong, but because I loved someone she refused to accept. Item 1, birthday card, mailed September 12, 2016, returned September 23. I pulled it out of the envelope and placed it on the table, still sealed, still stamped. Diane's eyes widened. Item 2, wedding photo, mailed June 14, 2017, returned June 25. Item 3, Christmas card, mailed December 8, 2017, returned December 21. One by one, I laid them out. A row of white envelopes with red stamps, every door I had tried to open, every one she had slammed shut. These are the birthday cards I sent every year, for 9 years. Every single one came back. Iris, I'm not finished. Tab 2, year 2. A voicemail transcript, my words, printed from a transcription app stapled to a timestamp. An unanswered call log, the Facebook screenshot. Sunday dinner with my people, no Iris, no Marcus, no grandchildren. Item 4, voicemail to you, January 7, 2018. Duration 47 seconds, no call back. Diane pressed her fingers to her lips. Her eyes filled. Item 5, text from Dad, February 12, 2018. 4 words. Your mother needs time. I set it on the table. It's been 9 years, Mom. How much more time did you need? The tears came. The performance followed, hands over. Her face, controlled, theatrical. The same cry she deployed when she wanted sympathy without surrendering ground. I had watched it 100 times growing up. The casserole that didn't make the potluck finals. The anniversary Dad forgot. The cry that said feel sorry for me without saying I was wrong. I was hurt, Iris. You chose him over us. You left. I didn't leave. You told me not to come back. That's not I was upset. People say things when they're upset. I flipped to tab 4, year 4. Item 16, text from Paige to a mutual friend. Forwarded March 9, 2021. I read it aloud slowly. Her children don't have real grandparents. That is what she chose. Diane flinched. Paige didn't mean. This is Paige's exact text, word for word. I flipped to the final tab, 7 pages of screenshots, the group chat. Item 26, family group chat, October 4, 2025. I read Paige's message. Make a list, be specific, she's a numbers person, she'll respond to numbers. Then Diane's own words back to her. She has more money than this entire town. She can afford to help her family. Diane's face changed. The theatrical tears evaporated. Something harder surfaced. Something I recognized instantly, the same expression she used when Paige broke the good china and blamed it on the dog. Not guilt, not shame. Anger. You had no right to read that. I looked at her without blinking. You had no right to return my children's photos. The kitchen went silent. I reached for one specific item, tab 5, year 7. The envelope looked slightly different from the others. Same white paper, same red stamp, but the flap was creased. The glue had been resealed with a thin strip of clear tape. I held it up. Item 23, birthday card, year 7. Inside this card was a photo of Liam and Sophie at their school fall festival. On the back I wrote, "They ask about you sometimes. I tell them you live far away." I set it on the table between us. This card was opened. Someone took out the photo, looked at their faces, then sealed it back up and returned it. Diane's jaw tightened. Her eyes were fixed on the tape. Who opened it, Mom? Silence. Dad opened it, he wanted to keep it, and you made him send it back. Her hands were flat on the table. When she spoke, it was barely a whisper. If I let him keep it, if I let any of it in, I would have had to admit I was wrong, that I lost 9 years for nothing, that I pushed away my grandchildren because I was too proud to. She stopped, swallowed. For 1 second, maybe 2, I saw something real in her face. Not performance, not manipulation, actual fear. The kind that lives under anger for so long it forgets how to surface any other way. Then it was gone. Her chin lifted, posture straightened. But you left us, Iris, you made your choice. The moment of honesty evaporated like steam off a coffee cup. I placed her list on the left side of the table. I placed the binder on the right. Your list, $925,000, 5 bullet points, no apology. I tapped the binder. My list, 29 items, 9 years, a daughter you erased because she married someone you refused to accept. I closed the binder. The metal rings clicked shut with a sound that felt final. You didn't come here because you missed me, Mom. You came here because the numbers changed. Diane stood up. The chair scraped against the tile. After everything we did for you, the food, the clothes, the education. You raised me, that's not a debt, that's what parents do. We gave you everything. You gave me a card that said come home soon, then you told me not to come back. She had nothing left. I watched her search for it, the guilt trip, the leverage, the angle, and come up empty. You said he was not one of us. But for 9 years, his mother was the only grandmother my children ever had. The words hung in the kitchen like smoke. She heard them, I watched them land. And she had nothing left to say. The garage door rumbled. Marcus walked through the laundry room with keys in one hand and his laptop bag over his shoulder. He saw Diane. He saw the binder on the table. He saw me. He didn't speak. He set his bag on the counter, crossed the kitchen, put his hand on my shoulder, and sat down next to me. That was it. No speech. No confrontation. Just a man sitting beside his wife because she needed him there. Diane looked at Marcus, the man she had refused 9 years ago. Flannel shirt, running shoes, a watch that cost less than her pearl studs. Nothing announcing $44 million. Nothing flashy, just a good man, a father, a husband. His hand on my shoulder said everything without opening his mouth. She understood. I didn't need the Archer family. I had already built my own. I spoke quietly, the way you deliver a final number on a balance sheet. Mom, I won't give you money. She opened her mouth. Not because I can't afford it, because the moment I hand you a check, you'll believe. You were right to stay away until it was profitable to come back. You'll call it a rough patch. You'll say we're family again, and none of that will be true. I held out her list. The 9 years were not a rough patch. They were a choice. Your choice. Every returned card, every ignored voicemail, every photo of your grandchildren you looked at and sent back anyway. She didn't take the list. If you want to know Liam and Sophie, really know them, not as a line item on a financial plan, that starts with an apology. Not to me, to them. And it doesn't start today. It starts when you're ready to mean it. Diane picked up her suitcase, walked to the front door, stopped, turned, opened her mouth. Closed it. And walked out. The door clicked shut, not a slam. A click, the sound of someone leaving who knew she had lost something no check could buy back. 2 weeks passed. Marcus and I didn't talk about Diane much. Not because we were avoiding it, because there wasn't much left to say. She had come with a list. I had shown her the binder. She had left without apologizing. The math was settled. The twins didn't know she'd visited. They were at school both times. I wanted it that way. They'll learn about Diane Archer when they're old enough to understand that some people only see you when the light is right. Kenneth called on a Tuesday morning, 9:14. I was reviewing a vendor contract. Iris, your mother told me what happened. I waited. I should have opened that door for you 9 years ago. I should have picked up the phone. I should have driven to Portland the day the twins were born. I should have done a lot of things. His voice cracked. I'm sorry, not because of the money. I don't want your money. I want to know my grandchildren. And I want to know if you'll let me try. 17 seconds of silence. I counted. I believe you, Dad, but believing you and trusting you are different things. We start slow. Phone calls every 2 weeks. No visits yet, just talking. That's more than I deserve. It's exactly what you deserve, not more, not less. We hung up. I went back to the contract. Paige texted once. One line, you could have just helped. I didn't reply. Some messages are their own answer. Diane didn't call, didn't text, didn't write. The silence returned, but this time it was hers, and it landed differently when I knew it was her choice, not her punishment. The binder sat in the bottom drawer. 29 items, 9 years, I didn't add a 30th, I hoped I'd never have to. Family is not the people who share your last name. Family is not the people who show up when your net worth changes. Family is the people who show up when your world is small, when the garage is cold, when the startup has 4 customers, when the babies need a grandmother and you need someone who shows up anyway. The people who fly from Cleveland every 6 weeks, who crochet yellow and white blankets, who teach your son how to make grilled cheese and your daughter the names of every backyard bird. That is family. And it was never about the money. It was about showing up. That's my story, 9 years, 29 items, 1 navy binder. If this reminded you that your worth was never about the numbers, share it with someone who needs to hear that today. Drop a comment, hit subscribe. And I'll see you in the next one.